to Lake County with my uncle because I am currently in law school right now. I commute to FAMU College of Law in Orlando, but everything is virtual right now, so I just stay home. I learned about the league probably a little bit after I graduated undergrad and I started working at a law firm. There was a fellow colleague of mine that introduced me to it because I do a lot of voting and community service things on my own. So I got plugged in with the league in Palm Beach County before I started law school. And mainly I worked with the youth group that we have, just because they call us the young leaguers. We kind of intertwined with all the other subcommittees. So we helped with the popular vote. We would help with the restoration of felons' rights. Basically, all the committees we got to dip and dab into, and especially a lot with the communications and digital media, just because sometimes the technology, a lot of the other members needed assistance with that. So once the pandemic kind of started, decided to stop being lazy and finally transfer over my membership to the villages because I kind of freed up a little bit more time. And now I'm accustomed to law school and things. So I just wanted to get back active in the league.
Well, I'm sure we can find some ways for you to be involved. And so we'll talk more to you for sure. Thank you. I'll go over to Jeannie. Unmute yourself now, Jeannie, and give us a little bit about your background and why you joined the league and what you're doing for the league.
Okay. Well, Jeannie Hamilton. I've been a villager now. Well, we bought in 2008. Shoot.
Somebody's phone. Oh, it must be Jeannie's. You might mute that.
Okay. We bought in 2008 as an investment property. I'm from Boulder, Colorado, graduate of the University of Colorado. And we lived there 50 years. And we became full-time residents here in the Villages in 2015. And we just decided that Boulder had had a wildfire. We narrowly escaped in our mountain area where we lived. And then we had the 500-year flood. And we decided we were too far away from our home to be of use to save it. So I have two sons, both here in Florida, 3 grandchildren. I'm a former realtor, had my own brokerage for the last 5 years. And I am chair of the Speakers Bureau. So people call and request speakers. We have 5 topics now. And so I help schedule that through our league speakers who are volunteers who go out and present these PowerPoints to different groups. Love the league. I was a 15-year Rotarian, found the 3 clubs here just weren't a good fit for me. So came across the league, which I've known about for decades, but doing other things, and joined and jumped right in. So I'm just thrilled. I've been a league member for, I think, 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. And love what I do, love all the wonderful, intelligent, bright, articulate women who are part of it. Oh. And we welcome all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeannie. Okay, we'll go to Jolene. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what attracted you to the league.
Well, I've been attracted to the league for, it seems like forever, but just never, took any steps toward joining until, I heard that presentation and I said, well, why not? This is the time to do it. So, as I was told, Karen, I've been many, many things in my life. I started off as a teacher and then recreated myself as an international banker, and then media relations coordinator at the Appleton Museum when I moved to Florida. I was in New York prior to that. And then I moved to Florida and worked after I left the museum. I worked for myself for a while, but that didn't pan out. So I went back to work for the college as a at the gallery there. They have a gallery there, and I was the gallery coordinator. And I had the wonderful experience of what do you call them, curating shows, which was the most exciting experience. I never knew that, you know, I could do that, but lo and behold, I can, and I love it. And I guess my last quote career was kind of helping out at the theater there in the ticket office. And then when I retired from there, I really retired. I haven't gone back to any, you know, anything that paid me any money. I've been taking care of my brother, who is, he's an Alzheimer's patient and a Down syndrome person. And it's been pretty rough, you know. I'm strange is that, you know, now that with COVID, I cannot visit him, which has given me he's given me my life back in a way, because I was there every day of the week. So this is good for me. This is a really good thing for me. I'm really excited about being a part of this organization. Thank you.
Great. Well, welcome to you, Jolene. And we hope to find a place that will fit for you and you can become more involved too as you learn about us. So Karen, we're going to go to Karen. She's our membership chair, and she's probably one of the first persons who communicated with you. So Karen, tell us a little bit about yourself and your league background.
Well, I found League of Women Voters as a corporate wife, and the first place I went in a new town, and it was a fairly frequent moving, was the library, and I became a librarian. But also the next step was to find League of Women Voters, because they were so friendly, they were wonderful cooks, regardless of where, and you didn't have to bake cookies and prove yourself. They just said, here's a board position we need filled. And I also learned that you never, ever accept presidency, because your husband would immediately be transferred. But when we moved here in '85, I dropped out of League because I was teaching full-time in Lake County schools, which was a wonderful experience for me, having always been in corporate communities. And I learned the things I needed to learn. Bless those kids for teaching me. And at my retirement, I came back and joined the Villages League, and I love it.
Well, thank you, Karen. And she has done a fabulous job with the input in membership, you know, the membership database, et cetera. And so she keeps our lists up to date, all stuff that time consuming, but she can do from home as she, you know, has time. So this is wonderful for us. Thank you. We heard from Janice. Go to Dorothy.
Hi, my name is Dorothy. Excuse me. Dorothy Stevens Duncan. I moved to the Villages in 2018 from the Chicago area. I'm not from Chicago. Originally from Pennsylvania, New York City, San Francisco, Sacramento, Chicago. Many years ago, I was a physical therapist, and then I went to law school. So for the past 30 years, I've been a lawyer. I am now retired, though I miss the intellectual pursuit of law. I was thinking about taking the bar here because my license is in California, and I would have to take the bar here again since there's no reciprocity. I joined the league in 2019, I believe. Might have been 2018, but I have been on the Speakers Bureau, but I have been, let's say, remiss in my responsibilities on that, since they're mostly by Zoom right now.
Right.
But other than that, I'm glad you're here. We need more people to join, especially with, I like the popular vote, national popular vote. I don't know if we'll ever get it, but so that's for me.
Yeah, and I appreciate his willingness to be one of the only people to come out with me to do real live in-person registration event in Coleman. So
Yes.
thank you for
True.
taking that brave step and venturing out during the pandemic. It was appreciated.
Well, we did register 18 new.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Excellent.
It was a worthy cause. So anyway.
Were these civilians or inmates?
Oh, no, they were not inmates.
Oh, okay.
It's incarcerated, can't vote. But these were
Oh, that, yeah.
former felons and were, given some guidance as to how they could clear up their fines and fees. So yeah, it's part of the process. So, okay, Mary Kay. Yeah, very good, very good. There you go.
Hi, I'm Mary Kay Rosinski. I'm a retired speech language pathologist. I spent my career in San Diego, California, but we bought a house in Florida in 2006, and that's where I met Karen West. She was my neighbor, and she's the one who got me interested in the league and drugged me up to a meeting, and I just loved it. So I thank Karen for introducing me to this wonderful association.
My pleasure.
Currently, I live in Tavera, so I'm a Lake County person. We have somebody new in Lake County. Welcome to you all, though. I'm a secretary on the board, and I'm also the greeter along with Karen. So when we finally go back to live meetings where you actually walk into and we sit and actually sit together, Karen and I will be at the door, and I will take care of getting you a name tag and any information you need and sign you in. So welcome to our new members. You're going to love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Kay. Okay, we're going to go to Marie. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, I'm Marie Dexter. My husband and Barry and I grew up in Connecticut and lived there all our lives until 5 years ago when we came here. I was in IT for 19 years at Aetna and then 17 years at the university, in both cases keeping the financial system running. Our daughter Melanie still lives in Connecticut. We miss her a lot, and we're going to miss her through the holidays. And I was in the Lions Club for 16 or 17 years in Connecticut. Most of the time I was either president or treasurer. And when we came here, I joined a couple quilting groups, the Democratic Club and the Democratic Women's Club. I'm on the board there. And you've done a couple presentations for us, including Mary Schultz, who does presentations and is in our club. And I've shared a lot of your information to the 200 people who are on my email distribution list about voting in Florida and rights and vote by mail and all kinds of stuff, because we didn't know anything about Florida voting when we came here. In Connecticut, you can do absentee ballot if you have a reason, like you're going to be on vacation. You can't just vote by mail. So I figured a lot of other people didn't know that either. And I joined the League of Women Voters because I like the things you do.
Oh, we're glad to hear that. And thank you for
Yes.
sharing that important voting
Yes.
prior to the election. That was the whole gist of it.
Yes.
Try to get the word out as best
Mm-hmm.
about, because it is different. And many of us are transplants, and it's a whole different ball of wax in Florida.
I'll say.
Okay, thank you, Marie. And Andrea, can you unmute yourself and tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad I could be here today. This is great.
Yeah.
Retired school teacher, elementary I taught for about 35 years, I think, mostly elementary and even primary. Taught all over from Detroit, Cincinnati, Chicago, Houston, South Florida. And then we retired here, my second husband and I, in 2004. And one of the things I did attended a couple League of Women Voters meetings and was very impressed. Joanne Cohen was very active then and so impressed with her and the whole thing. But I tell you, this is a real confession. I saw the good, I appreciated all the things, but on the one hand, I thought I cannot do the research for position papers and all the skills that are needed. You know, I was in a primary school teacher, but I, you know, and to just go to the meeting. And then this is what's really embarrassing. You know, so many of the clubs in the villages, you join for $10. The Democratic Club was $10. The Bicycle Club was $10. The social clubs were $10. And when the league was 50, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And that, isn't that awful? I'm so embarrassed by that and ashamed. But finally, and then more and more, especially the last so many years, really appreciate the work the league has done and attended several of your speakers bureaus thing, the amendment one, and also the popular vote. And I think there was a third one we had too, and they were just so informative. And it was like, Andrea, please, you're so appreciating the work they do. The least you can do is support them by becoming a member. Duh. So that's why I joined. It was when we first came here too, when the Democratic Club was very small. This was 2004. Much wasn't built below 466.
Yeah.
And so anyway, actually, many of you might remember Sue Michelson. She was a big name in the villages back in the day. Anyway, I succeeded her as president of the Democratic Club around 2006 or so, but it was a very small club at the time. So the skills I might have, also got very involved in our Unitarian Universalist Church. So that took a lot. And we shared, well, anyway, in membership, I have an affinity for membership because I was membership chair for quite a few years and see the importance of that. So I thank you, those of you that have been on the membership team. It's so vital. So thank you.
Well, thank you for giving us your background. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Okay, this is just great to get to know you a little bit and know some of your skills. And I am going to run through just a little PowerPoint. I mean, I think I sent most of you a little welcome packet. I'm going to suggest at this time that you switch to speaker view, because that will then make the speaker's screen, which will be me, the predominant one. And I'm going to share my screen and switch to the PowerPoint. And it'll take just a second for it, I believe, for it to come up. Yeah, there we go. It's on mine anyway. Okay, slideshow. Oh, of course it wants to. Look. Okay, I think we're going to go here. So this will be brief. I'm not going to try to bore you to tears, but you know, there are some basics that I think it's important for people to know. And it is spinning. At least my little wheel is spinning. I am not seeing my PowerPoint, so I don't know what's going on here. Is anybody else seeing anything? Oh, there we go. Well,
Yeah, we're seeing your main screen
okay.
with the little,
There.
yeah, there we go.
It finally came up. Okay, it came up for me. Okay, here we go. So it's important for you to know our mission. This is it in a nutshell. We are about encouraging, informing, and active participation in government. So really, when I say in a nutshell, what does the League do? It's about voter participation and voter education. I mean, that's our main mission in a very brief sense. But of course, we also do a lot of public policy work. I think it was Andrea who mentioned that she felt intimidated by the work that we have done on creating policy positions, studies, et cetera. And that is a lot of what the League does. But I will say that our local League doesn't do that all the time. I mean, we are selective in what we do. It's not like we've always got a major study going on. But it is a grassroots organization. And so our policy positions or program, we call it in the league, does come from local through state up to national. So that is how we work. And then we do try to influence public policy through not only our education program, but also advocacy, which I'll talk more about. So, nonpartisan policy. The league never supports or opposes any political party or candidate for political office. And of course, I noted that many of you are involved in political clubs, and that's wonderful. We encourage you to take full part in the electoral process. However, we'll mention that there are some restrictions in certain leadership positions. For instance, the president is unable, because of the visibility of the role, and along with the voter services chair. Those are the two positions where the person is restricted from being a leader in, like, the Democratic Club, or putting signs on your golf cart for a candidate, or signs in your window for a candidate, or doing canvassing for a candidate, or being a candidate for a political party. If you happen to be a candidate on a nonpartisan ballot position, that's fine, as long as it's nonpartisan. But if it were a partisan position, that would disqualify you as president of the league. So I did want to mention that. I know some of you have got great leadership potential, and at a certain level in this organization, you have to make a choice. I guess that's the bottom line. But we cross that bridge when we get there. There's plenty of other places on the board and other offices where your involvement in the political party groups does not create a conflict of interest. I will say our Speakers Bureau is also a place where we have discussed, because again, they're representing the league in a very public way. My little litmus test was for Mary Schultz. Somebody mentioned that they know her and that she is a speaker on our Speakers Bureau. And what I did was I just Googled her name to see if her affiliation with the Democratic Party club came up at all, and it did not. I just thought, well, if some organization was looking for a little more background on their speaker, and it popped up that, whoa, she's running somebody's campaign, or she's, something like that it would be a red flag for our nonpartisan position. So we just try to take that nonpartisan role very seriously, because that's been a league foundation, and it is what makes the league so respected. So a little bit about the history. We're 100 years old. We're very, very, very proud of the fact that we are celebrating our 100th anniversary, along with the 100th centennial of women getting the right to vote. So Carrie Chapman Catt founded this organization actually 6 months prior to the passage of the 19th Amendment. And it was basically designed to help get these women ready to carry out their responsibilities as voters. It has evolved to allow male members, of course, and we work to make democracy work for all citizens, again, through voter education. Our big tool right now, vote411.org. Used to be a print guide. Voter's Guide was the thing for years and years. Many of you might remember picking up a league voter's guide, where you'd get information on the candidates and amendments and whatever other issues there were. However, we have gone online, and we are working to educate voters through that wonderful tool. And then, of course, we also work to influence public policy through advocacy. And we will be ramping that up at the state level as we near the beginning of the legislative session in Tallahassee that starts March 2nd. The Florida League, tell you a little bit about that. That was founded in 1939. And, you know, we have a lot of contact with the Florida League. A lot of wonderful education is coming to us now. I would say, in my view, I'm certainly hopeful that the weekly lunch and learn programs that have been provided to us and all league members via Zoom since the pandemic, I hope that continues.
Yeah.
So that, you know, not everybody is required to go to a meeting in some inconvenient place and time to get that information. But the league studies and advocates on issues from education, natural resources, voting rights, redistricting, and voter education is, of course, a primary focus. And then our league. You have joined the League of Women Voters, officially the Villages / Tri-County Area League. And those are the 3 counties. We've got members in all. We have a shorter history. Obviously, the Villages has grown. This league started in 2005. We just honored our founding members. 6 of them were actually honored at our kind of centennial celebration for the league's birthday back in February, which was the last time we met in person. So I'm glad we got that in. Joanne Cohen, who was mentioned, was one of our, but that was the last meeting she was at. And Carolyn Johnson, some other members that you might meet are founding members. Typically, we meet monthly, September through May. We take the summer off. Right now, we've been meeting through Zoom, and we have decided as a board to continue meeting through Zoom at least through March, which will be our annual meeting. Then we'll just see where we are. Maybe the vaccine will be out. Maybe people will be ready to come together. We'll just wait and see. And, you know, we're figuring out some of this technology. Maybe we can try some hybrid things, you know, with the ability to get some Zoom feed out through the meeting venue. We'll just have to see. I don't know how well the internet connection works, and that's critical for Zoom. So anyway, then candidate forums. This year they were all virtual, and we had several. Voter education. We mentioned Vote 411. So we've got a team of people that work diligently to reach out to the local candidates. The state does the state races, like the state representatives, the state senators, any, governor, et cetera, all of those. However, our local team is responsible for contacting all of those candidates, from the Tavares City Council to the Marion Mayor race, whatever races there are, we are reaching out for those candidates to see if they will share information. And of course, you already heard about our Speakers Bureau. Most of you have heard some of our speeches, and that work will continue. And then, of course, the voter outreach, the registration events, et cetera. Again, much of this was done virtually this year, very little in person, but I think we had good efforts. I will say kudos to Jeannie Hamilton, who took up the task of getting postcards out to, our members, postcards out to former felons to try to get them encouraged to register to vote. So that was a big task. So that's our local league, and you just met some of our local league leaders on this call. So, I think, did I go too far? Being patient. Okay. Okay, here we go. Now. Okay, the work of the league. Again, voter service and education. The program and action. People, I think, don't understand exactly how we come up with our positions, but it is member input. And so our January meeting will be devoted to getting member input on our local program. And in advance of that, you will get a copy of our local program. And I'll also show you where you can find it on our website. Local studies can move up to the state for inclusion in the state program of action. And I would tell you that in the 4.5 years that I have been a member since I moved here, I've been involved in one local study. It was already in progress when I arrived, and it was done in conjunction with the American Association of University Women. We decided to study how effective the voter mandate, this was passed by a voter initiative, to have universal pre-kindergarten. In this state, it's called voluntary pre-kindergarten, but it is available for all 4-year-olds for a 3-hour period, should parents choose. So our study was of the 3-county area, and most of these programs are found in private childcare settings. And so we did extensive interviews and actual on-site visits at a representative sampling of these programs. And it was very informative, very informative. I became, because of an education background, got involved and ended up on the steering committee in short order. But we had a great person leading it who had a PhD and was a former university professor. And so she was able to write this up, design the study and write it up. And we were able to successfully create a position statement and move it through the process to get it adopted at the state level, where now it can be advocated for by our lobbyists in addition to ourselves. So that's a proud accomplishment. Now we're to the advocacy stage on that, and we're continuing to work on that. So the state does create legislative priorities. We can't do it all. In fact, the lobbying firm that the league engages in Tallahassee has told us we need to narrow it and really, really focus on our signature issues, which are voting. That's that's the one we own. There, natural resources, some of the other things, poverty, education, there are other groups that, take the lead on those, but we are known for our voting issues. And so that's our key focus, but then we've got 3 other areas that we'll be doing. We do legislative interviews prior to the session every year. We try to go in and get a feel for where our local reps stand. And that's where it's nice to have Lake County and Marion County people. Like if we go up to visit with Representative McLean in Ocala, it's very nice to have one of his constituents in the room with us. So that's helpful. And so we just try to get a feel for where they might stand, if they might support us, or if they might sign on to any of these bills. It's nice for our lobbyists to have a little hint as to who their supporters might be. Then we're going to schedule some advocacy training. So that will be via Zoom and done by one of the staffers at the Florida office, Florida League office. And as I mentioned, we have both grassroots lobbying and a contracted lobbying firm in Tallahassee. And I hope you will all be getting, when the session starts, the weekly legislative update and calls to action. And I just encourage you that if there is an issue where we're calling you to action, that means please contact your local representative or senator. These are 2 documents that are key to our program. The one on the left is the US League. It's obviously an outdated one, but it is the Impact on Issues is what it's called. the guide to public policy positions. And this really anything that is in this document, we can take a stand on. And then over here on the right is a poor screenshot. I couldn't figure out how to do this, is the Florida League's study in action. And those are position statements. This is the one where we got our volunteer pre-kindergarten position added to the last go round. Okay. Let's move it. Okay. Okay. So educate, action, and advocacy. Again, these are our main areas. I'm going to see if I can get right to the webpage where you can sign up to get in. We don't have local committees on all of these. In fact, we have very few local committees doing a lot of this work. We've got some people working on the national popular vote. We do have that education committee right now. We're just doing the advocacy part of that. But we could use people to represent our league on a number of these issues. So I'm trying to get to the website here. I might have to go back and do this later. Sorry for these technical. Okay, I think it's coming up. I just wanted to show you where you could sign up. So if something really spoke to you, like the issue of juvenile justice, you could sign up. And I know there are calls that happen. It depends on, like the voter services calls were happening practically every other week right before the election. But there are other committees that meet less frequently, and they're usually via phone conference. Sometimes they meet via Zoom, but usually it's a phone-in thing. So it's slowly trying to get to this. Issues page. I maybe should have just taken a screenshot in retrospect. But anyway, I hope you are all familiar with the State League's website, or will become familiar with it. It is lwvfl.org. And it doesn't take much to get to the issues page. So here is a listing of the key areas we focus on. And you can see them right here. So by clicking on any of them, you can learn more. So basically, you don't have to buy that book or study in action thing. This boils down the key points on each of these. And you can go back and look at the Capitol reports, what's happening on these issues. But here's where you can sign up to get news and alerts on emails on the issues you are most interested in. I would say you don't need to click them all. You're probably interested in all of them. And through our league communications, you'll probably learn about what's really happening on a lot of these. But if you really have a passion, some emails on those. Otherwise, I'm just going to say that if you click them all, you're going to have an inbox full of stuff like you can't believe. So, you might want to pick stuff like you can't believe. So, you might want to pick and choose is my suggestion. So you can select any of these. Interestingly, education isn't on there, which is weird because that is one of our
Top one.
So I noticed that the other day when I was looking at this, and I thought, well, that is strange that they managed to miss that. So anyway, these are how you get into the league website. And there is a members only. And in a moment, I'll ask Karen to talk about that. I'm trying to get advanced here. technology. Collaboration. I did want to mention that the League collaborates with other like-minded nonpartisan organizations. For instance, I mentioned that we partnered with AUW on that study. Recently, we collaborated with the NAACP of Lake County. They needed a little technical help on a candidate forum that they were running for candidates in Lake County. And so I provided that. And, you know, as part of voter education, I felt it was appropriate. We are also one of the lead partners in a group called, it's an ad hoc group called Sisters of Suffrage. That's made up of multiple organizations who've come together to recognize the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. The League is sponsoring on March 16th, I hope. We have the facility all arranged and our panelists. This event was supposed to happen last April. So it's almost a year later that we are planning to do this special screening of The Vote, which is all about the history of women getting the right to vote. It'll be a shortened version. It aired on PBS over the summer. But the real plus on that is the panel discussion. We've got 3 wonderful people lined up to kind of dissect and enhance what we learn about the suffrage movement. And I think it should be great. Also in the works, someday, rally and program at one of the town squares. So we've been working on this. It was supposed to be last May, and of course everything shut down. So these things have all been put off, but by gosh, someday it's going to happen. So these are some ways you can get involved. Voter outreach, I mentioned the postcard drive. Those opportunities come along every now and then, so especially on election years. Advocacy, again, read these action alerts, contact your people. The Speakers Bureau, it's a great way to educate yourself. So if you would feel comfortable in sharing and speaking in front of people in person, we do have, when we get back to in person, we have a couple of projectors and a computer, and so we can get out in the community and actually meet people face to face. Or right now, we're doing it all via Zoom, so you'd have to be comfortable with Zoom, but we do have a League Zoom account that you would have access to. And then, of course, there are short-term commitments, such as a financial review that we're getting ready to do. We just do it once a year to make sure that everything looks good in the books. It's not a full audit or anything. The budget committee will be ramping up to prepare the budget for the next fiscal year, which will begin April 1. And then the nominating committee. Meetings. I think I mentioned we tip, the months we meet. However, I didn't say where. When we get back to in-person meetings, we have been meeting at Manatee Recreation Center in the Villages. Our meetings are during the day. So if that's, a problem for people working, we do have some people who are still working. We had started instituting a kind of a dine and discuss thing, and we were doing that in Leesburg, but of course that's all in the past at this point in time. So we'll see if we can get something like that going again though. But we do not conduct business at these meetings. The board largely conducts all the business at a different time. But we present educational topics. So that's where our education piece comes in. We're educating our own members. Right now, we are offering these meetings on Zoom and also Facebook Live. The time when members have their opportunity to have their voice heard in the business of the organization happens at the annual meeting, which is in March. This is typically a luncheon meeting. It will not be this year because we'll do it via Zoom. This is a meeting where we adopt our local program, we adopt the budget, and we elect officers and directors for the coming year. And this year it will be March 22nd, and I hope you will join us. It will be at 10:30 in the morning. So these are the websites that I encourage you to look at. I just showed you a little bit about the Florida one. I'm going to show you, I'm just going to get out of this and go right to the website. I'll ask, do you have any questions? Get out. Who has got a question?
Andrea.
Okay, I'm getting out. Okay.
Yes, I see that normally the meetings when they're, so I presume the Zoom meetings are at the same time as your fourth Monday of the month?
Right.
Okay,
10:30.
10:30, thank you.
Yeah, 10:30. And there are some months where we meet irregularly, like November. So we met on the 16th because we tried to avoid this Monday of Thanksgiving week, because under normal circumstances, people are traveling for Thanksgiving. Maybe not so much this year, but we try to hit as many people as possible. So we try to avoid some of the holidays. December will also not be the fourth Monday because of the holidays. So we'll meet on the second Monday next month. But this is always, you know, well publicized in advance. And in fact, all of our meeting times and dates are in the newsletter. So hopefully you're all getting the newsletter. That is our key means of communication. So it goes out through Constant Contact. And Beth Hicks is our newsletter editor and keeps the list. And I'm sure that you probably heard from her. So, okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to make a really, yes, Jolene.
When does the newsletter come out?
The newsletter typically comes out the first of the month. So you can look for one right around December 1. She usually puts it out the first day of the month, maybe a day before, a day after, but right the first of the month. Yeah. And it'll have all of the details about the meeting, including the Zoom link. But what we've learned is that people lose those little emails. And so we will send a couple of reminders with that Zoom link for the meeting right before the meeting. So people, you know, have it right in their inbox when they need it and don't have to search. So.
And if any of you new members don't get things that, like the newsletter, or if you don't get invitations to Lunch and Learn, just contact me. Lunch and Learn, I'm on speed dial with the guy who can put you on that Zoom instantly. So don't be shy.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is sometimes a little lag in getting new members entered into the state database that gets you access to those things, the members only site on the Florida League page. So Karen's your go-to on that. So, okay, I'm going to see if I can bring up our local web page, and then I'm going to share it. Just want to make sure you know how to get to our local web page, because there's a wealth of information there. So let me share my screen again. So this is LWV FL.org. So for Tri-County, Florida. So this is the home page. And right now, wait, is it? No, it isn't. Yeah, it is, I think.
Mhm.
Here we go. This is our homepage.
Homepage. Yeah.
So there is a survey about those emails that we sent out and the communication we did for the 2020 election cycle. We'd dearly love to have a little bit more feedback back. So if you have not taken this survey, I hope you will take the opportunity to do this. We always are trying to improve. And so this is part of the improvement. This is check us out, come to a meeting, book a speaker, become a member. So maybe some of you went here joined us. So just quickly, I want to go to the members only. You do need to have a password for this. And this was in the letter that was sent to you, the welcome letter sent to you from me. I think it's Susan B. Anthony, 1920, exclamation mark. Punctuation and capitals do count. So once you get in there, you can get to the members only. This is where you can access our leadership membership list. So you can do that here. This might be a good one for new members. League lingo, the nonpartisan policy, the program planning. You'll always find the minutes of the last board meeting, the treasurer's report, our bylaws, our annual meeting. And then at some point, if you are interested in going out to register voters prior to the next election, you would have to become certified. You might now wait because we're not going to be doing much of that now for at least another year, but you can take do a little studying and take a quiz and become a Florida certified voter registrar through our organization. So anyway, that's it. There are other ways, other things here. And you can always contact us. I think I know you have my email and, but if non-members want to contact us, they can do it here. So, okay, I'm going to just kind of quit here and just say if there's anything else anybody wants to share or have any more questions. Otherwise, I've kept you for pretty much an hour. I didn't think I would be that long-winded. I'm sorry.
Oh, excellent presentation, Gail. This is the first one I've attended, and I think you've done a really stunning job putting this orientation package together.
Well, thank you.
Presentation together, excuse me.
Ideally, we would be doing this face-to-face with wine and cheese. An opportunity to have real networking. But this is a different time. So, and maybe this did convey a little bit more information too with the PowerPoint. And so anyway, I thank you all for taking the time. And please, please email me if you are all interested in getting involved. Our nominating committee is ramping up. I know some of you are, I think, potential people that, with your experience in leadership would fit in with the board. We really do need leaders. At a certain point, some of our people just say, I'm done. I've been there, done that. In other places, and age and health issues come up a lot for people. And so, we are only as good as our leadership. And so we need new people all the time. And we'd love to get people on board positions. So that's really where you learn what's going on and how the league runs. And so I encourage you to consider that. And drop me a line, and I'll feed your name to our nominating committee person. And if I don't hear from you and I have written a note about you, I might and beg you myself, because as I said, we've got several positions that are going to be open, and we just need new leadership all the time. So we want to involve you if you're at all interested in taking the lead on one of these issues that's at the Florida level. You can then report back and put something in our newsletter as you feel fit, because there's so many of those issues that we just can't cover them all, and we have to have a liaison for each of them if in an ideal world. So there's one of those issues that you said, oh, I'd love to do gun safety. Then when you listen in on a call, you could just write a quick paragraph and submit it for our newsletter to let our members know what's going on at the state level. So that's another very simple way that you might consider getting involved as a liaison for one of these issues, because we really need them. We really don't have
Right.
them. So,
Gail,
anyway,
Gail,
yes.
just wanted to mention that I'm a co-chair with Helen Kelly on our National Popular Vote program. And if you are interested in getting involved in this particular issue, it's a passion of mine now since I learned about it only 4 years ago when I joined the league. And it's been going on since 2006. So if you're interested, I can forward you an email that would give you wonderful information with a number of links, a number of speakers, how to address the issue for both people, candidates or people on both sides of the aisle, some for, some against, some for. So it's a mixed bag for many people on both sides of the aisle, but I can send you an email that really would give you wonderful links to this particular issue.
Yeah. So Jeannie's an example of one of those liaisons. So, you know, she's hooked in through the state and then feeding information back to our local membership. And that's what we need more of these issues covered in that way. So,
Right.
you know, let us know or just sign up. Just sign up. It'd be wonderful. So anyway, really, really appreciate your time today. And I hope that we see you in person or at a Zoom meeting here in the near future. So thank you again for your time. And
Thank you.
hesitate
Yeah,
to
Delighted to have you as new members.
Yes, delighted.
Thank you.
We're a great
Take
organization.
care and have a wonderful Thanksgiving and stay safe.
You all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.